Hello everyone. So today I'm starting a new little session, or rather, I guess a journey or devlog, whatever you want to call it. So essentially, for a while now, I've been inspired, of course, by the RoboGrammer. It's just essentially a suite where you can create from a specific kit of parts certain robots that are able to navigate terrain, for example, maze-like or literally terrain. I really like the work. I, in fact, found it really inspiring, but also I know that there is a suite for or work on robotics within Unity and ROS. And I don't know. I always wanted to get into these things. What I really not so much like about the RoboGrammer is that, well, the robots, I mean, the environment, the use case is fine, right? Navigate or walk hard terrain, but somehow I feel like this robot could be a little bit more useful. So I was thinking to maybe develop something that can, at least like a robot that at least is able to pick something up, or I don't know, push a button or open a door, or kind of scout a specific environment or something. Some task that is a little bit more than just kind of walk from A to B. If I will succeed, I don't know. How great it will be, I don't know. How far I will get, I don't know. And I don't also know how people actually will respond to this. This is pretty raw. I haven't scripted anything. I just kind of start and do things, which of course means that you will get also a little bit of an insight on how I work or how I look stuff up if I'm stuck or I need help or whatever. So obviously the hardest part is obviously getting sort of off the chair and getting started from a blank canvas, but that's fine, that's how it goes, so let's do that. So I have Unity 2021. What else do I have? 3.9F1. Yeah, that's fine. You probably have something different, but it doesn't really matter. Robotic Devlog. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's get started. Just let's start with a plane, just like that. And somehow, actually before I start, let me also import the packages. So of course I want to play around with ML agents as well. So Devlog package. So I downloaded the latest release. I think that's 20, if I'm not wrong. I'm adding that to the project. So just generally, we have a lot of different, I guess, ways to do this. So I'll explore a couple of different ones before I decide which one to go in terms of hinges and motors and so on, right? So obviously we have the inbuilt hinges and joints from Unity, but we can also just work with torque forces, for example. We can just also rotate, like, so I guess the determining factor sort of is the fact that we also want to consider collision, right? So we somehow our geometry has to stop moving when there is an obstacle, right? So that's the main important thing, I guess. And of course we want to make use of the great physics engine of Unity. Anyhow, so let's build some sort of a simple robot, I guess. I don't know how to start this actually. So maybe we're just gonna have some sort of a cube. I'm gonna bring that to the center. to make it sort of a small kind of a plateau like that. I don't know. So this is our base, and then we will create another cube that is going to be our first sort of arm. Bring it to 0, 0, 0, 0.2 maybe. Okay. That's gonna be all right. So this is something, but of course we want to rotate. So let's for example rotate it infinitely in one direction. I mean, we could already rotate, of course, but let's see. So I'm just gonna add a second arm. I'm just gonna roughly sort of sketch this out for a moment and then see what we have to do in terms of if we have to turn this into a prefab or whatnot. 0.5. Oops. 0.5. So this should be since we are at okay, and then the height should be like that, and then here we should be at 0.2. Okay, because of course, so we have to consider that our cube is 0.1 in for a half extent, so 0.2 for the side. So let's say now we want to sort of rotate that, but of course that we need to figure out a way to define a rotation, a point for rotation, right? So actually I will rename that. So I suppose we should have some sort of a prefab that looks like that. I guess it's an arm, and then sort of the arm center. I can copy that, copy position, I guess. Paste position. So this is our arm, like at least the game object. Inside of that we have this arm, but then we also need a point, so to say, that it rotates around. It rotates around. So let's create another object. Actually, yeah, let's just call pivot. I don't know if that's the correct name here, but let's bring in that arm as well. So before I do that, a couple of steps back. Let's move that backwards a little bit. So it should be here. So this is sort of our pivot. I mean, if we want to be, yeah, I guess that's okay for now. Yep. So essentially, I'm bringing down my arm into the pivot, and I should now be able to rotate essentially the pivot. Oops. Yep. So maybe this way, right? So my arm is actually rotating. Even though what I find a little bit disturbing here right now is that this kind of gizmo sort of is centered. I don't like that, and I don't know how to change that right now, but maybe I can figure it out. Fade gizmo, select outline. Yeah, so what is the problem here is that essentially takes it goes in, like it centers the group, sorry, for this entire group, right? It centers the pivot for that group, which is not as useful, but anyway. So okay, but I'm happy with that. So we have a pivot somehow, and we have an arm. And now, so I guess, I don't know if we should also do that with this part. but I don't really want this to be able to turn. So how do we do this? So still, I guess, yeah, so let's do the following. So this one is gonna be a little shorter, so it's gonna be in probably not 0.2 because otherwise we are clashing. So let's do it a little differently. How about this? So something like 3.5. Actually, I can also go into that perspective, so it might be easier. Camera I don't need right now. And then we bring this guy here down and up. I don't know what this is. Oops. Okay. Yeah, cool. So this is basically our arm, which has a pivot, and this is our arm geometry. So yeah. All right. How about we are creating a prefab out of this? So of course the only thing that we need to change, 0. This should be 0. Let's change the spec. Hide this stuff for a second. So okay, then our pivot is situated. If we hide this, is our pivot? Yes. Okay, so the pivot should be 0. What? Okay. Arm should be 0, 0. Z, that should be 0, I guess. And then our pivot should be 0, and our arm sits here. Okay, so here we have a pivot. What is this? 0.2. I don't know why these weird numbers are coming across. Alright, so here's our arm. I mean, I suppose we can just keep it at 0 for a moment as well. Yeah, actually let me create the prefab out of this right away. So I can actually work on this isolated and don't have to turn off sort of my scene. So this arm, this is my object, this is my pivot, and this is sort of my arm geometry. Yeah. And so let's move that up a little bit. I guess that should be something like 0.4. So that, yeah, should be good. So this should be 0.1. Yep, 0.1. Okay. Cool. Great. So yeah, looks quite boring, but so we have our pivot. It should be, it's not displayed correctly. That is a bit strange, but anyway, this is it. Maybe what if we add these little symbols to it? Yeah, I think that's cool. Alright, so we exactly know where our pivot is. So the blue big button is our pivot. Actually, let's make this, can we make it round? I thought there was a round one. Yes. Okay, let's do that. Alright, so we have our arm here, but we can now kind of move around a little bit more. Maybe just like that. And here needs to go back for a sec. 0.2 and 0. That is correct. Okay, so let's say we will pivot this arm. Okay, we can pivot it in this direction. Okay, cool. All right, so we located our arm. Fantastic. Why are these symbols so large? Maybe decreasing them a little. Now we need to, of course, create a little script for our arm here. And I would say we either attach it to the pivot, or we attach it to the arm directly, which I guess means, yeah, no, I think that's okay. Let's attach it to the arm. Okay. So let's call it robotic, or just a robo arm. Right. And this robo arm, if you open this up, oops, all right, here we are. And so, as I said already, I want to also include some ML agents here. So in theory, I think we should need ML agents, and using ML agents actuators or something. Actuators, I don't remember, I have to look it up every single time, but anyway. So here we are inheriting from an agent. Just check this out. General project, assets, maybe ML agents, examples, basic script. Could be the basic control, I don't even remember. Nope, doesn't look too good. Sensor, actuator, scripts. Weird that I cannot find it, but okay. Examples, food collector, let's see if we can find it. Agent, wow, okay. Agent, okay, this is what we need. Cool. Alright. Oops. Do we have everything? ML agents, actuator, sensors. Okay. It's complaining. Why is it complaining? Have I written something wrong? Yes, I have. Okay. Alright, so I don't think we need that for now. Cool. Wow, alright. So what do we definitely need is actually, yeah, because I want to sort of do this first round, I want to do it with torque. So it's basically a force that is being applied to this object at a specific point. So I suppose what we definitely need, I don't know, I'm a bit hesitant because I'm wondering maybe we don't actually need to put that into a hierarchy. Let's change it for just a moment. So this is our pivot, this is our arm, as usual. But definitely what we need now here is we need the rigid body. Cool. So I can write all of this stuff. Alright. So then when we go to here, what we definitely have is our rigid body. And if we use awake, we will engage the rigid body. Start RB equals to get component rigid body, that's correct. So I think that's a good first start. Episode public override. Here we have it already on episode. Okay, so this is essentially the whatever we're doing to start this out. Alright, so what else do we need? An episode begin, just to maybe put together the structure. I'll just peek into this example here on the side. There are just a couple of things that we need. Actually, maybe I turn off the Copilot, I'm still running, using the Copilot a little bit, testing it in the trial phase. Let's see. But sometimes it's quite annoying. Sometimes it helps a lot, sometimes it's really annoying, so I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sold. But anyway, so public, what else do we need? Alright, void on action received. I think, and then what else is missing? We have on episode begin, correct observations, on action received. And lastly, we will need the public override void something heuristics. Okay. Cool. I don't know why this is. Yeah, it's weird that this is coming, this error, but let's see. Cool. So let's check out what happens now to our arm here. Sorry. Alright, that's that. We can change the behavior types or heuristics already for a moment. Discrete actions. I don't know, maybe, yeah, sure. Let's run with discrete actions for a moment. We have currently, I guess we have 2 directions, so let's change it to 2. We can apply all the overrides if you want to do that for a moment. But alright, so on episode, let's just try to make this work, let's say as usual, as quickly as possible. So our script is here, so definitely what we need is our arm, referencing our arm, and also the pivot. So let's do that. So this of course needs to be public, so public game object arm, and then public game object pivot, while actually this could be a transform, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. So what we want to do is, if we, let's see how they do things here. Collision, collider, laser. This is, by the way, the food collector example, nothing too crazy. Heuristics, continuous actions. Yeah, that is what I'm looking for. Jeez. All right. So what we want here definitely is the actions out dot continuous action. We want the discrete actions. And just to make this right, I really don't like the var kind of type identifier, so action segment int, that's what we have, action segment int, and here we can just call it actions, doesn't really matter. Alright, so if action 0, so how do we have this set up currently? So we have one branch, and in this branch we have 2 different values. So actually we can do 3 values, so that is basically 0 is doing nothing, 1 is turning left or something, and 2 is turning right. So let's try that. So if action 0 equals to 1, essentially do nothing, right? Equals to 0, sorry. And then we say else if, you can say equals to 1, and return turn left, else if 0 equals to 2. I probably should drink something. Alright, and then here we say, oops, turn right. Alright, I'm pretty sure we want to have a helper function at some point, This is also kind of unnecessary, but it's just good for sake of sanity. So what do we want to turn left? So we want to turn left the arm. So how do we do this? What do we want to do here? So we attached, of course, we attached the rigid body. Maybe I did it incorrectly. Oops. Okay. So oops. So for the arm, our arm has the rigid body. Okay, so actually we actually don't use this because the rigid body is on the arm and not on our current object. Cool, so let's try something. This dot, oops, this dot, arm. By the way, I'm doing something absolutely incorrect here. So because this one should actually be in the action received, and here we should just check for keys and change the actions. So that's kind of wrong. So this one should be here. Yeah, I basically did this exactly the other way around. So heuristics here, we need to just if there's a key press, we have to attach numbers or values to this action out here, and that's it, right? And in the on action received, we have to move the agent or do whatever with the agent, right? So yeah, my bad. So here we basically can sort of do the same thing. Actions, probably have to call it differently. Discrete actions. Yep. Okay. So let's comment it out for a moment. And here, actions out. Let's double check how they do it. Actions out. And then you basically change these actions. Yeah. Okay, so these actions, so if there's like this stuff, oops, with horizontal axis, I really like that. It's in some of the evaluations examples. I think it's input dot get axis or something, and it's horizontal, I believe. And let's say horizontal smaller than 0, then our actions 0 equals to 1, else if, can actually copy that. So the horizontal axis is essentially A and D, or the arrows left and right. So if that's larger than 0, action hook, too much Python coding. So if I press the right arrow button, this is 2, and else actually this is 0. Okay, so if 0 is nothing, if it's 1, I want to turn left. That's what I did here. Yes, okay, good, let's try. And so arm dot rigid body dot get component rigid body dot, I don't know, can I just add force? Add torque, force, add position, relative torque, add a torque to the rigid body relative to its coordinate system, relative force, torque. I hope I can add a pivot also for the torque, otherwise it's kind of useless. So what do we have here? So we have the torque, so vector, force mode, float xyz, okay, vector and world. In world coordinates. torque along the weld axis. Yeah. I'm not sure if this is going to be helpful. Let's see if they have a little bit of a hint here. So they use this move function, but I don't think they're using forces, do they? Yeah, okay, they use forces. Rotate, but they're rotating, but they're not rotating with a force. Yeah. Velocity, blah blah blah, shoot, and so on. Alright, let's see what we can do. Add torque, add point unity or something. Maybe someone else tried to do that. Yeah, that's what I kind of want to do. I mean, you can also look at the official and see what happens here. Turn, horizontal. So torque is a float. Turn is what? Is also a float. That's the input. And that's the transform. Oof. Yeah, I don't like that too much. I mean, is it maybe add relative torque? I mean, vector up, torque, turn. I don't know. So let's try something. Let's still try it. Maybe it's fine. So where do we want to turn? It's essentially, oops, the pivot, but so this is forward, so we want to turn around the forward arrow of the pivot. Okay, so this dot pivot dot transform dot forward times, I don't know. Let's just try something. All right. I don't think it's gonna work. Would be weird if, but we will see. All right. Should we try? Let's see what happens. Okay, so just to double check that we have horizontal axis set correctly, I think it should be somewhere here. Input manager, axis, horizontal. Yes, so it's left, right, A and D. Okay, let's try. Pressing play. Okay. Did something happen? By the way, maybe I usually have a different layout. I don't have it set up here. Maybe it's a good point to quickly change the setup. Console is fine. I have the project usually not like that, but usually I have the hierarchy here and then that here. Yeah, that's not bad. Console, and then I have the game. Yeah. So maybe it makes sense at this point to also quickly bring closer the camera. Okay, some sort of a side is good. Side view. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's try that. Oh no, wait a sec. I wanna see it from the side, so it wasn't too bad. Just wait, what? Oh no, it's fine. Okay. So now I can watch how it's turning left and right. Okay. Let's try again. So I'm just gonna check out the robotic arm. What is happening here? Use gravity. Arm. Okay, there's definitely nothing happening because already, okay, but wow. So the robotic arm has gravity turned on, which I might turn off for a moment. And here we forgot to, or I forgot to put the pivot in the arm, otherwise it's not working. Let's try that again. Weird that it didn't show a console error. Okay, no, alright, let's see. Hitting those buttons, nothing's happening, I think. Heuristics. Okay, nothing's happening, that's not great. Let's check what is going on. So first of all we need to check if we are actually, say, doing something here. Hitting button, left arrow button, and here we can say right. Okay, let's see. In that case, actually might make sense to have the console up. Pressing play. But I just realized what we need here. Yeah, what we need here is actually, I forgot something. So for the agent, as soon as we have that, I guess we need a decision requester as well. Otherwise we won't pull any decisions. I mean, we can change that manual to like manually requesting decisions, but I don't think it's gonna work. So let's see, does this work now? Okay, we are definitely Jesus. Oh no. Okay, so first of all, few observations, 0 mate and vector observation size 1. Okay, that doesn't really matter, but hitting the left arrow, hitting the left arrow, and the right I saw right here. Okay, fair. Alright, so what is going on? Somehow this arm, we've been rotating it. Let's try that again. I can't believe what I just saw. Okay, the kinematic is definitely not helping. We're hitting the button, but nothing really is happening. So, but if, of course, if we turn off the kinematic, then we get a problem. So here we are turning in one direction, but what I already, expected was that. I don't like that. So definitely what we have to do is we have to constrain this thing, this arm, for the rotations, I suppose. So freeze rotation in, I guess in Y and X. I don't know. Let's try. Okay. Nothing is happening. Ah. Okay. 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 So it's X and Y. Okay, fair enough. It's kinematic. And what about the position? What happens if I change the position here? Okay, but I think I have a solution for the torque problem. So we just have to get the right world position, right? Okay. All right. Good. So does that working for now? Pivot forward. So yes, so this is the axis, but somehow we need to make sure that we're just rotating around a specific axis, like a pivot. How can we do this? So the problem is that, of course, we could just rotate the pivot, right? Add the rigid body to the pivot. But then we somehow would need to make sure, which actually seems to be fine, but somehow we need to make sure that this this collider is also sort of being considered. But let's try it. I mean, sure. Let's bring over the rigid body. Just like that. To constrain all of these things as well, I suppose, right? X, Y, Z. Reduce gravity. And then we're taking this off. Do I have to override all of this stuff now? Yes. Pivot. But of course, then I'm turning only the pivot, and that means I would bring back the arm into the pivot. Okay, let's try that. Sure. Okay, fine. Maybe we can rename this and call this motor. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, here we have our motor, actually. Okay. So of course we now do this. Okay, let's see. Oops. All right. Is this running? No, not yet. Now. Okay, something is problematic. There's an arrow. I have a feeling what it is. That's the issue. Let's try this again. Right, it's running. No, not yet. Now it's running, and it's turning the same way as it has been running before. That's probably because... Why is that? So, let's double check everything. Motor. We're turning the motor. We're adding torque. And it's going to be around the forward. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. Did I correctly change everything here? We have the arm and we have the motor. So what happens somehow is that let's double check what's going on here. So it's the torque to the rigid body. I probably have to open the documentation one moment. How does this work? Torque transform up. So I did a little bit of digging, and so I found out that wrong window, I can close this, that we have to change the center of mass. So what currently happens is it basically takes the center of all of these game objects, as like the average, I guess. Well, that should be here somehow, but somehow I guess the bounding box or something of this of all objects. At least that's how it looked. Anyhow, so what I have to do is I have to reset. So I found this info tab here. Well, I know that it's there, but I didn't know that there's a local center of mass, which is essentially what we have to change in order for this to work. So how do we do it? Just to clean up a little bit. So we have the arm, we have a motor, and we probably need also the public rigid body, the rigid or the motor rigid body, and then no, it's private right quick. I don't know why it does that, but okay. And here I wanna this dot motor dot get component rigid body. Oops. Okay. And also what I want to do here is then I want to reset center of mass. Hold on, center of mass. That's it. And I want to use the motor dot transform dot local position for that. Cool. And then now here I'm not sure anymore about the torque, if that's still necessary. We played around with that, I mean the relative torque or the torque. But anyway, let's try that. Pressing play here. And we are ready to go. Do we have everything? Motor, yes, rigid body. Missing component, rigid body attached to the arm. I'm mixing something up, I think. Okay, down here we should update that as well. So we are applying forces now to, of course, to the motor. Let's try it again. Right, pressing play. Cool. And can try this. Yep, that looks good. And so the point is that I'm now turning around this axis, but I'm still respecting the collision of this collider that is attached to the arm. Cool. Okay, I'm happy about that. That's cool. Learned something new today. All right. So, cool. Okay. What actually happens if I mean, it's kind of not super important, but what if I add gravity? Will anything happen here? Nope. I don't know, actually it's sort of falling. I mean there's, yeah, okay, yeah, that's kind of shitty. So essentially, because the center of mass is exactly here right now, right? Nothing is gonna happen. What happens if I turn this off? Freeze rotations. Yeah, nothing really happens, but it's fine. So what I want to do now is, as the final part, so to say, for now, I want to turn this arm, but I don't want to, let's say, accelerate it and then let it sort of fade out in terms of the motion, right? So I guess there's a couple of things I could do here. So either I use the angular drag, but so let's just try that. So if I add forces here now, it should come to a pause much quicker, but that's kind of strange for a robotic arm, I suppose, right? So let's say I increase that to 100. Yeah, well, I cannot even turn this thing anymore. Yeah, it's still kind of... I want it to be 0 actually. But what I also want is, I want this to be resetting the torque forces when I'm not applying any forces, right? So let's try that. So motor angular drag is 0, that's okay. And so essentially, so yeah, I think I have two options. So either I do that in the update, check. I think there's another update, something like a fixed update. What was the difference again? Called every frame. It's enabled. Fixed update. It's called every fixed frame. It's enabled. There was a physics update. I don't remember exactly what it was, but maybe. Let's try with the update for a moment. So essentially, what I want is I want to take away the force. Actually, now that I think about it, there was one other parameter that was called force mode. Force, impulse, velocity change. I don't know. Let's just leave it that default. Maybe we have to get into that a little bit later. But so what do we want to do? We want to set the motor, rigid body, angular velocity to vector 3.0. Okay, this might be too much. I'm not sure. Let's see. Also, what is the possibility to we have to put it here so that whenever we are not applying forces, let's say to the motor, yeah, it's being zeroed out. But let's see. Let's try this for a moment. Okay. Still sort of laggy, I feel like. Also, what I want to check is the what is a bit strange is that there's no velocity. And it's also lagging a little bit. I don't know. I don't like this too much. Yeah, let's take this out and bring this here for a moment. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see. So in theory, yeah, so okay, then there's one other thing. Yeah, I think it's not terribly bad, but I also want to restrict the velocity to the speed, which is 1 right now. So angular max, angular max angular velocity. Is that something that you can use? Okay. So you can just use 1. Okay. Can you use it like that? So since the velocity and here we would use, I guess, negative. This is weird, but anyway, let's try. Yeah, this seems to be better. What I don't like about this solution is definitely that if we are not requesting a decision, okay, no, it's actually fine. I think it's fine. It doesn't feel so smooth, but okay. Alright, cool. Okay, how nicely can I control this? I almost want this to be kind of one angle, let's say, at a time, right? Instead of these weird numbers. Maybe I have to change the force mode after all. So let's see what we can do here. Dot add continuous acceleration to the rigid body, ignoring its mass. Continuous force to the rigid body using its mass. Impulse using its mass. Velocity change. Maybe we can try that. Oops, I haven't. Okay, let's try that. So in theory now I want nice little steps. Let's see, motor. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't feel bad. Velocity change. What other options did we have? So what if we... No, actually velocity change seems fine. Force mode. Add a continuous force to the rigid body. Impulse. Instant force impulse to the rigid body using its mass. Yeah, I mean, we can use the impulse, but maybe not. So if we maybe turn the mass to 0, because I don't want to... Impulse seems okay, but I don't want to... Right? I don't want to have a mass, I think. Let's see. Alright, so what I like better was the velocity change. Let's go with that for a moment. I think that's cool. In terms of the max angular velocity, I hope that is correct. Yeah, okay. I mean, I think it's fine. Cool. So theoretically, I guess the last little step that we could do is then first of all, I'm overriding all of my changes. Now what I want to do, of course, is sort of have this arm duplicate it, potentially turn it around 180 degree, move it backwards a little bit, 0 and up, and in theory, I mean, of course, this shouldn't be two agents currently now. So now we have two agents, right? But let's just see if this sort of works the way. Of course not. Probably have to bring this to this arm here. I don't know if this is working, but let's see. Okay, okay, fair. So because I just mirrored it, right? It essentially just went into the other direction. Of course, it's moving. It's rotating in a different direction. But anyway, okay. This is fair. I think that's cool. So, of course, I want to control this individually. I also think what I have to do next is to move this robo script, so to say, to an individual kind of script instead of having this as part of the arm. Yeah, so, but before I will do that, I definitely study to just rotate individual arms with just the transform rotation and see how the collider reacts to that, and then potentially decide which way to go, if I want to work with rigid bodies or if I just want to use rotations. But I guess that's it for now. I hope you had fun a little bit. This is the first series, so I guess, yeah, we'll make this more complicated as we go. Or more complex, not complicated, potentially this moving around, roaming around, this picking up things. We'll define goals and rewards and stuff like that, and start to explore little challenges and experiments that we could run, and this robo arm could start to learn to solve. So yeah, stay tuned and see you next time.